Hi everybody, welcome to this latest interview for DECT Today magazine and for the DECT Forum YouTube channel. Today I'm talking with Thomas Weisshaupt of Wirepas. Thomas, Wirepas provides a software connectivity suite for affordable massive IoT deployments and is the first company to offer non-cellular 5G. How did Wirepas end up with DECT and what's your role within the company?
So good morning, Vince. So first of all, thank you for having me today. And let me start with the second question about my role in Wirepas. So my primary role is to head the European activities in smart metering and smart energy, because we see a game-changing opportunity utilizing DECT NR Plus in this segment. And to your second question, it's not a single path how you end up creating a standard. It's many parallel ways and collaboration and cooperation and teamwork within the company and with other companies. So and you always have to have bright minds behind, and we were lucky enough to have these bright minds with the people that started in, I think it was 2017-18 in the DECT ETC DECT. Identifying that there is a spectrum potentially available for making this radio interface technology a standard. And in parallel, a standard doesn't fall from heaven. So you have to have experience in, especially when you look at NR+, in especially how to utilize a spectrum efficiently, having the technology proven in potentially other proprietary segments or spectrum, like we did in some sub-gigahertz spectrum and in 2.4 gigahertz spectrum in the recent, let's say, 15 years. So we have learned a lot about coexistence, a lot about, let's say, being the last mesh network or network reliable, and about density, about scalability, and so on. And a lot of this stuff has been brought into the standardization, into ETSI by this bright-minded people. And in parallel, the other, let's say, important topic is when you want to be ready to deliver an implementation for a new standard, you have to productize, you have to package your product. And this is also a learning and a team effort that the Wirepas team did in the last couple of years.
Well, your Wirepas 5G mesh is based on the ETSI DECT 2020 NR 5G standard, what we're calling DECT NR Plus now. So why was the DECT standard the right candidate for Wirepas?
So first of all, there is legacy. There is technical debt in a certain way, which is the legacy DECT implementations, which are continuously implemented in this spectrum. But there is a certain, let's say, the spectrum is much less crowded than, for example, the 2.4 gigahertz or even the sub-gigahertz spectrums around the globe. So there was a need to define a radio interface technology that acknowledges the existence of the existing DECT or DECT ULE and traditional DECT technologies, which usually occupy one of the 10 channels permanently and, let's say, stable, saying that not having frequency hopping in this channel. Yeah. So this made this spectrum very interesting, because on the one hand, cellular technologies rely on exclusive spectrum availability. So their ability to coexist with other technologies is, I would say, quite limited in order to make them keep their promises and make them, let's say, keep their service level. On the other hand, the Wirepas technology has always been exposed to coexistence challenges in these other spectrums, which are much more crowded than this one. So it was a natural development that our technology, or our radio interface technology, is the perfect match to keep the DECT train running, but also utilize the spectrum much more efficiently for MMTC and URLLC use cases.
Well, in a moment, we'll look at the future roadmap, but as of today, where are we in the development and rollout of DECT NR+?
So as we could see it from two angles. One is the negative angle, say, oh, there's nothing, there is not anything deployed. Sure, it's a standard that has been implemented a couple of months back. You can still count the months in the 2 digits. But on the other hand, it's if you look at the Wirepas deployments, we are already with the same kind of radio interface technology in much more challenging spectrum. We are already having a 7 to 8 million devices deployed. And on the other hand, the availability with standard chipsets, standard implementation is already there, meaning a couple of months after launching the standard, the people can start deploying and developing their solutions. Compare this to 3GPP, 5G campus networks. Yeah. How long does it take to get to an end-to-end solution development capability? And on the other hand, the first, let's say, deployments and use cases are already in the making, and that's mainly in the use case of smart metering, because there we have a perfect fit. It's kind of next generation RF mesh for smart metering on a global level.
Well, Wirepas has already attended several public events and shows where DECT NR Plus has not only been shown but also demonstrated. What sort of public reaction are you getting so far?
So we get a very positive reaction. So a lot of astonishment because this different thinking of how you utilize a spectrum. Yeah, you don't have a central capex investment upfront, and you can still develop your own application, and the application brings the network. This is a new thinking in IoT. This requires change in the way you approach the business cases and how you judge the business cases. And so that astonishes the people, and a lot of them are starting to think about use cases that were unthinkable in the precedent years, especially in the MMTC space. Yeah. Either it was a lack of spectrum, where you say, I have a critical infrastructure, I cannot use public spectrum where anybody can intervene. On the other hand, you have range, which is in NR Plus unbeatable in terms of mesh networks. So we can really make big distances between two nodes and create a coverage of a neighborhood area, citywide area, or even a county-wide area. Yeah, and this makes this whole smart city energy system, grid edge use cases possible that are, let's say, that we have seen a lot of scientific and PowerPoint papers so far, but it has not been materializing because the plumbing, the groundwork was not either feasible technology-wise or economically feasible.
What sort of feeling you're getting as to how customers are responding to the idea of non-cellular 5G versus cellular?
So I'll give you a couple of examples from our latest fairs where we attended, and the most intriguing one was Distributech in the US, because the good thing in the US is you don't have to explain RF mesh to utility people, because Weisshaupt is there for more than a decade. RF mesh is something very normal. The cellular space has not, let's say, played this dominant role in the IoT, let's say, marketing sphere. Yeah. So this was a very, very good starting point, that you don't have to start with explaining RF mesh versus any other technologies. And then let's say the main feedback from the people was, it's a very interesting technology. Changing horses in a race is very difficult. So maybe US market will not be the first one to be, let's say, to be conquered with the 1.9 NR Plus, but the companies, they have a lot of experience in the RF mesh space, and so they try to expand their businesses to other countries where the 915 band, where the RF mesh in the US is operating, is not available, and where regulators are not eager to comply to their requirements in terms of spectrum allocation. So now there is a spectrum available in many of these countries, and these companies can change their physical and transport layer, but do not have to change the system. And this is a very intriguing opportunity for them to move to countries or to expand their services to countries which potentially leapfrog the first generation, for example, of smart metering or smart grid deployments.
Well, compared to many other standards that I've tracked, Thomas, things are moving very fast indeed, and development systems are already being made available. What sort of support can Wirepas provide to developers?
So we have to distinguish between two layers. So one is the physical layer, which we by purpose do not serve, because we must work with off-the-shelf hardware and the competence in where it belongs, to the chipset makers or to the radio baseband makers. We started with Nordic Semiconductors and with an existing hardware where we ported our implementation on top. So we have a standard written NR+. We have hardware available. This is currently Nordic Semiconductors. And with the NRF 9161, which is also a cellular chipset. So you already have the critical volumes that make you, let's say, affordable cost for the hardware. And then you have the implementation of the standard, which is more or less hardware abstraction layer, MAC transport and routing layer. Yeah. And this needs to be built and maintained. And this is what Wirepas is providing on top of this chipset. So you can license our layer or build your own. It's up to you, but your own has to be standard compliant, yeah? Which we know takes a lot of effort. But you can shortcut it. It's a make or buy decision to come to us and to challenge your use case with us, and then see how this standard deployment can fit your needs. And we started with the first deployments focusing very much on smart metering, because we also want to make the standard attractive to multiple vendors and customers in order to showcase the volumes that are behind. Yeah? And then take a real ecosystem building from that point, and then evolve our implementation into other needs, use cases like let's say low power routing and more density, better downlink, and all this stuff. That's on the roadmap, but that's not what is available today. Today, it's really focusing smart metering, mains powered products, could go into grid edge, could go into smart city deployments where you have power available. But as I said, in the next steps, we will see a lot of surprises coming into this standard. And so you can expand your set of use cases, your own network, to more use cases once you start it.
Well, you touched upon it a moment ago, but how about the business side of things? Do developers need to enter into licensing agreements?
Yes. There's one big reason behind is if you are in B2B, industrial IoT, you need to have reliable supply chains in a way for the software, hardware, and your IoT development. Yeah? And Wirepas is offering a working stack, but it's also offering support structure, support in the development of your solution. Yeah? And we are offering support in both directions to chipset vendors. We're offering support to application developers, to system integrators, and so on. And there's limited resources. Yeah? and there's a lot of investment have gone into our stack, into the development, into the experience over the time. Yeah? And this is where we cannot start with an open source stack where everybody can let's say tinker around with small use cases. We're really focusing on the business critical, mission critical use cases that require mass deployments. And this is why we ask this commercial model of a licensing fee. Mm-hmm. There is opportunities for universities, for anyone, for example, to utilize the standard for point-to-point deployment.
Okay, and then the big question that we would expect to finish with, what's your view regarding the timetable for general availability of DECT NR+?
So it's generally available for smart metering all around the globe, where the DECT spectrum or the 1.9 spectrum is available. So this is today,
available today, yeah?
It's available today.
Fantastic.
Chipset vendor is available, ready to give you quotes. We are ready to license and to give you a specific support on that. Example is we are also part of the DLMS user association, defining let's say a reference implementation for the NR Plus with DLMS, which is the major protocol used in smart metering, and this is already available. So anyone around the globe that is interested in smart metering rollouts in affordable and let's say highly scalable Smart metering can come to us immediately, and we will go fast with them. The other use cases are, let's say, up to the customers or prospects that want to license us. So if they see a need, let's say, a fit with the NR Plus and their use case and our implementation, we're licensing to anyone, and it's available. The standard is evolving, our implementation is evolving, and more features are on our roadmap.
This is incredibly exciting, and I'm very much looking forward to talking to you many more times over the coming months and years, Thomas, to learn more about this. But thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for your time, and have a great day.